Today I wanted to take a look at a game that is usually the butt of jokes, especially among adult or older gamers, but I think it gets a bad rap very often for very little reason. That's Fortnite. Now, this might be an out of left field video from me. I've been very sick lately. I know that a lot of you saw that from either the community tab or our fantastic Discord server, which is in the description down below. Or maybe you saw it on my Twitter, but I appreciate all the well wishes. My voice is finally back, mostly. I'm gonna sound a little silly, but I do have some upcoming videos this week. Assassin's Creed, trying to do a Metal Gear video I'm excited for, and a lot of other stuff I hope you'll join me for. But I wanted to take a look at this game because I feel like I used to be part of the crowd that really used to hate on Fortnite. It was something that during my time as a teacher, I actually found very annoying because kids would constantly meme about it, do the dances, just kind of be obnoxious, and it was one of those things that just rubbed me the wrong way. Until I actually tried the game myself. Now, I will absolutely admit I'm a bit of a sucker, a bit of a slut when it comes to product placement for brands that I like. I wouldn't say that I'm like a big company man, I'm not a big guy who's always like brand loyalty, but if you put in a character that I like in a game, like you throw Ezio in a game, you throw Lara Croft in a game, I'm gonna at least kind of turn a side eye to it and maybe check it out from a distance, even if I'm not gonna play it. I just have a fascination with these crossovers. Interestingly, that's actually what got me into Fortnite, is that I am a fan of Tomb Raider. And growing up, I never got to play Tomb Raider that much until I was a little older and could afford more of the games, but I quickly fell in love with the series and heard, okay, well, Fortnite is having Lara Croft in their game. I didn't really understand the capacity of what the crossover was. This was a handful of years ago, and my wife Jill was a huge mega fan of Tomb Raider, and I said, okay, well, maybe this is something you and I should check out. I like these games, you love these games, maybe this is something we can do together. And I played the game, and I very quickly realized that I was being very, very hard on it and hating on this game because of how popular it was, because of how often it came up online or in discussions, because of how many advertisements there were for it. Basically, it was just something I saw all the time and allowed myself to be annoyed by, instead of actually ever doing any due diligence to see if I would enjoy it or not. Now, there are a lot of reasons that someone might not like Fortnite that are very valid. For example, I think a lot of these brand crossovers rely on you actually buying the skins or cosmetics from the store, and some people really don't like that. I mean, that is technically a microtransaction. I understand the dislike of those, but considering the game is pretty much always free, and they are always adding new gameplay elements to it every season, it's something that doesn't really bother me very much. But there actually is a very cyclatory way you can play this game if you want to and put very little to almost no money into it ever and still unlock some of these crossovers and other really cool stuff throughout the course of the season. If you want to, you can buy the Battle Pass one time. This is going to sound a little bit like an advertisement, trust me, it's not. But once you do that, if you were to play all the way through the Battle Pass, you will earn, I believe, about 1,500 V-Bucks. And that means that if you wanted to, next season, you would have enough for the Battle Pass right away, which is about 1,000. I think it's 950 to 1,000, which means that once you buy the Battle Pass one time with V-Bucks, or you buy enough V-Bucks for that, you can technically just kind of ride it out and keep getting Battle Passes every season if you never want to buy things in the store. Now, I will admit there are plenty of really cool things in the store that have gotten my money before. I'm not afraid to say that. Things like Miguel O'Hara from, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so Spider-Man 2099. I bought Miles Morales. I've gotten some Star Wars characters, RoboCop. There's been things that I've picked up over my years playing the game that I really do enjoy, but there's also been a lot of very cool characters that you can just earn. Like, for example, in the previous season from what we're on now, there was actually Optimus Prime along with a variant skin of him as well. I thought that was really cool, and that was something that, say, if you had earned enough V-Bucks from the previous season, you could have just gotten the Battle Pass with those, played through this season, and just gotten Optimus without spending any more money at all. He was not reliable on going to the store. I'm not saying that this game does not have a very, very wide and lucrative array of store items that they want you to purchase, but those items do not affect gameplay really at all. They are all cosmetic, unlike what a lot of games are moving towards actually, with guns and different things having stats. That's not even a thing in this game that you can buy. These are all just cosmetic things like dances or skins or whatever, and there's also plenty of them that you just earn over the course of these battle passes. I think that's important to actually recognize because this game does get a very bad reputation for how many crossovers it does and how monetized those things are. There's a lot of them that are also pretty much just tossed to players through these battle passes. Spider-Gwen was actually another example of one, I believe, from a couple seasons ago that I didn't even get because I didn't play the season enough that time. But if I had, that's someone I would have unlocked. My wife Jill did unlock that character, and that character is not actually in the store. That's a character that was just in the battle pass that I missed out on because I didn't play the game. And I see a lot of criticisms of this game constantly. Things like, well, there's all these no-life players that just do the building like an Olympic medalist, and they, mash on their keyboard or their controller or whatever, and they build the Eiffel Tower, and there's nothing I can do. And I fully agree with that criticism of the game. I think the building leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the skill gap being massive. Like, the skill gap on building at the end of matches is nuts. I think most players can competently get near the end of matches in a normal build mode battle royale, and they will be fine. But once you get to the end, it's very rare for me in those normal modes where I'm not encountering somebody who it seems like their entire personality is building a tower in Fortnite. Like, they're just so fast and ridiculous. I totally agree that the skill gap there, the way that the building system is set up, it's nuts. Like, if you're not going to make this your personality, you're probably not going to win that many matches on that mode. Fair enough. But here's the thing. Fortnite then addresses those kinds of things. It addresses those kinds of criticisms. How, you may ask? By introducing things like Zero Build, which was a newer mode, I believe about 2 seasons ago, where you actually don't have to deal with building at all. You can still destroy environments, you can knock down walls, you can blow things up, which I think is really cool, keeping the destructible environments, adding in a sprint feature, and it still leaves the game in third person, where you're able to actually see and enjoy any skins or weapons or whatever that you unlock. I guess I should say weapon wraps or camos, for those who play Call of Duty. But basically, it's pretty well done. But I think that this game has gotten a very bad reputation for a lot of criticisms that people don't know that the game has tried to address. Now, there's a lot of things that I think Epic Games themselves does that just kind of annoy me, especially things on PC like buying exclusivity for timed exclusivity for their PC Epic Game Store. But I think that if you're kind of moving aside from that and just looking at Fortnite as a game, certainly there are things that I don't enjoy in the game. There's a lot of brand crossovers that I find tacky or boring because I don't care about them. There's a lot of seasons where gameplay features that change are not for me. But one of the coolest things about this game is that they change them in different ways. Here's a great example of that. A handful of seasons ago, there was a UFO season. During that season, there were flying saucers flying around that, in my opinion, were just completely broken and ridiculous. They would very quickly down players, and they pretty much controlled the entire match for the last fourth of the match. They were just kind of a joke. They got nerfed a little bit, but they were still pretty ridiculously overpowered and frustrated a lot of players in general. But you know what happened the season after that? They were gone. They weren't really a thing anymore. You know why? Because this game actually, every single season, makes gameplay changes. It might add a new gimmick. Like, for example, during one season, there were chrome parts of the map you could go to where you could interact with and pass through certain walls. Or maybe in another season, it adds grinding on rails. That was one of the more recent seasons where you would grind around on different rails and be able to traverse a pretty big, sprawling city landscape in a new way. You know, there's a lot of different things that they do that nobody has to pay for. That's what I think is crazy too. Even if you never wanted to pay for any skins, you wanted to play the game and use the default skin, the default weapons, the default dance, and never do anything else, you could play this game, get good at this game, win matches of this game, especially on Zero Build, and have a good time. You don't really need all the fancy gimmicks, you don't need all the fancy brand crossovers or weapon wraps or any of that stuff or dances. You can just play the game, and it's free. Pretty much nobody does that. Pretty much everybody gets into the game, they get sucked into the game a little bit if they enjoy it, and they end up buying something, and I understand that's how they make their money. I'm not completely stupid, but my point is, I think it's very interesting that this is a game that you can play where it is pretty much an equal playing field for people. It's not exactly one of those games where somebody else bought an operator bundle in the Call of Duty store and the gun came with certain attachments they never even had to unlock that made the stats of that gun really good, so now they're kicking everyone's ass. There's not really an issue like that in this game, and I do think the game does deserve some credit for that. Now, this isn't necessarily meant to be a super long video, and it's not really meant to change anyone's opinion. I know that some people are just going to hate this game because they hate the game. Some people are going to play it and they're just not going to enjoy the gameplay of it. That's completely fine. There's plenty of games that are very popular that I just don't enjoy. But I do think it's too bad that there is also a lot of popular game bad mentality going around when it comes to games like Fortnite. Games that actually have tried to address a lot of criticisms and have tried to make themselves, I would say, overall pretty enjoyable and pretty accessible. Are the kids on the game annoying? Absolutely. That's why I don't play games like this with my microphone. I don't play games like Call of Duty or Halo with my microphone either. I don't care if that makes me soft or whatever. I'm not on the internet to play games with strangers I don't know or care about and engage them in conversation. That is not interesting to me at all. But if you're playing this game with a friend, or maybe you're playing solos or anything like that, I do think there's a lot of fun to be had here that I think, unfortunately, the stigma of popular thing bad, age accessible thing must be for children, it's really kind of drained a lot of excitement from a lot of people forever checking out a game like this, and I think it's too bad. I also think a lot of the arguments around it dealing with kids, where it's like, oh, well, it's a cartoony game, it must be for kids, or, oh, there's no blood and gore, it must not be an adult game. I find them very odd and silly. It's kind of like the people where they think Disney movies are for children, so you couldn't sit down and watch The Lion King and have a good time. I don't think there's anything wrong with you if you could sit down and watch Disney's Cinderella and be like, whoa, fun movie, and then go watch The Godfather and also be like, whoa, fun movie, for a different reason. I think the accessibility on the game is also very good. They actually have done a lot to actually make their game available to people with different issues. For example, I don't always see colors the absolute best. There is a very good colorblind mode in this game. There is also a hearing mode where it actually helps people who do not have the best hearing. I don't have the best hearing either, believe it or not. But people who suffer from deafness or hearing impacts, those people can use different modes in this game that will actually display sounds on screen. And I think that it's really cool that they've done so much to go out of their way to actually make this game accessible to people of every age range, every background, disabilities. It's really kind of neat to me, and I think the game deserves a lot more credit than it gets for a lot of things, like its accessibility, its brand crossovers actually being fun and interesting, revamping the map locations, changing the map every season, actually changing some of the gameplay aspects every season, swapping out weapons different seasons so that there's a different feeling because of the balancing. I think that stuff's really cool, and I think it's too bad that so many people just don't care or don't recognize it. I will completely admit that for a very long time, I was one of the people that would constantly meme on this game or shit on this game without ever having tried it, but it's one of those games I'm really glad I did. It makes me mad a lot of the times, like I get very frustrated by certain people on the game. I can't play very many matches in a row without having just a borderline adult temper tantrum where I want to shut the game off, which is a problem with my patience and getting frustrated, but I will say that I think a lot of people are far too ready to be upset with and angry at this game and not give it a chance, and I think that a lot of times in life when that happens and you don't give something a chance, you miss out. Now at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you don't like it. There's plenty of valid reasons to not enjoy the game, like I said, but it just being popular and talked about a lot, or being available to kids or things like that, I don't really think that's one of them. Turn the mic off, ignore those people, try something for yourself. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but at least you tried. And that's something I'm really glad I did with this game. I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. This might be a divisive video, I have no idea. I don't know if it's like an unpopular opinion now to say you enjoy this game, but I'm interested to hear what you think down there. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the future as well on this channel. Bunch of videos coming up, hopefully for this week. Like I said, working on Assassin's Creed, Metal Gear, and some other stuff I hope to see you for. Also some video game and movie reviews I'm working on as I get better and less sick and my voice comes back more. And also, I do hope to see you as well On some of our other things, we have Degenerate Plays, which is a secondary channel where we play games podcast style, have fun, have discussions, and talk. My wife Jill has a channel, Magical Jill, in the description down below where I hang out with her, and we have all kinds of other stuff down there too that would be fun to see you with. Have a fantastic day, and as always everyone, stay shui.